I knew what she was. That wasn't the secret that broke me. The truth was, she warned me. She told me not to fall in love. But I thought I could change her world. Instead, she shattered mine. I met her on a Tuesday. My second week in Pattaya. I was sitting alone at an open-air bar near Walking Street, nursing a Leo beer and watching the chaos unfold around me. Neon lights bleeding into the humid night. Music thumping from every direction. Girls in tight dresses calling out to tourists. I wasn't looking for anything. I'd come to Thailand to escape Florida, escape my ex-wives, escape the emptiness of retirement. Just wanted some peace, some warmth, maybe a fresh start before my body gave out completely. I was 59 years old and tired of pretending I had it figured out. A few nights ago, I opened an email from a longtime viewer of this channel, someone who's been following these stories for a long time. He wrote, "Your videos help me feel less alone. But now, it's my turn to tell you what happened to me." I'll be honest, I sat there staring at the screen for a long time before I opened it. I could feel something heavy behind those words. And as I started reading, that familiar chill crept up my spine, the kind that tells you you're about to hear something raw, something real. By the second paragraph, I wasn't just reading his story, I was feeling it. His heartbreak, his regret, his disbelief at how love can twist itself into something unrecognizable. It hit me harder than I expected. Maybe because I've been there, maybe because we all have, in some way. If you've been with this channel for a while, if you've watched, commented, or even shared one of these stories, I just want to say thank you, truly. Every message, every view, every returning face means more than I can ever explain. You're the reason I keep sharing these confessions, no matter how hard they are to tell. So, wherever you're watching from, Thailand, the US, the UK, Australia, drop a comment below. Tell me where you are. Tell me if this story hits home. And if you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, and join this little corner of truth we've built together. Because tonight, I'm sharing a story that broke me open again. Let me take you back to where it all started. She walked up to my table like she owned the place. Long, dark hair, sharp cheekbones, legs that went on forever. She wore a black crop top and denim shorts, and her smile was the kind that made you forget where you were. "You look lonely," she said. Her English was perfect. No broken syllables. No pigeon phrases, just clear, confident words. I looked up at her and tried to play it cool, but I'm sure my face gave me away. "Just thinking," I said. She pulled out the chair across from me without asking. "Mind if I think with you?" I laughed. I hadn't laughed like that in months. "Be my guest." She ordered a drink. Something fruity with too much ice. We talked about nothing at first. The weather. The traffic. How long I'd been in Thailand. She asked what brought me here, and I gave her the sanitized version. Retired contractor. Divorced. Needed a change. She nodded like she'd heard it 1,000 times. Maybe she had. Then she leaned forward, elbows on the table, and looked me straight in the eye. "You seem like a nice man, Randall," she said. I hadn't told her my name yet, but I must have. I was already losing track. "So, I'm going to be honest with you." My stomach tightened. Here it comes, I thought. The pitch. The hustle. But what she said next wasn't what I expected. "I'm not a real girl, you know." I sat there for a moment, letting the words settle. She didn't blink, didn't look away, just waited for my reaction. I took a sip of my beer and set it down carefully. "Okay," I said. She tilted her head. "Okay? That's it?" I shrugged. "You told me. I appreciate the honesty." She laughed then, this bright, surprised sound that made the whole bar feel smaller. Most men get angry, or they leave. Or they pretend they didn't hear me and then get angry later. I shook my head. "I'm too old for games. You told me the truth. That's more than most people do." She studied me for a long moment, and I couldn't tell what she was thinking. Then she smiled again, softer this time. "You're different, Randall." I didn't feel different. I felt lonely and desperate and pathetic, but I didn't say that. Instead, I asked her name. "Tass," she said, "but you can call me Tass." We stayed at that bar for hours, talking, laughing. She told me she worked as a performer and hostess. She was smart, funny, brutally honest about the kind of life she lived. She didn't sugarcoat it, didn't pretend to be something she wasn't, and maybe that's what got me. After 2 marriages built on lies and resentment, here was someone who just laid it all out. She asked about my ex-wives, and I told her more than I should have. The cheating, the fighting, the slow death of love. She listened without judgment. When I finished, she reached across the table and touched my hand. "Love is hard," she said, "especially when you want it too much." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded. We didn't go anywhere that night, didn't do anything. She gave me her number and told me to call her if I wanted to hang out again. No pressure, no expectations, just an offer. I watched her walk away into the crowd, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. I called her 2 days later. She answered on the first ring. "I was wondering if you'd chicken out," she said. I could hear the smile in her voice. "Not a chance," I said. "You free tonight?" She was. We met at a beachside restaurant in Jomtien, the kind of place where the tables are in the sand and the waves crash a few feet away. She wore a white sundress and looked impossibly beautiful. We ordered grilled fish and sticky rice, and I paid without thinking about it. She didn't ask me to. Didn't expect it. But I wanted to. We talked about everything. Her family in Izon. My childhood in Florida. She told me she had a younger brother who was sick, and she sent money home every month. She said it so casually, like it was just a fact of life. No pity, no drama. I respected that. "He's only 16, she said, pushing rice around her plate with her fork. "He has a heart condition. The doctors say he needs surgery, but it's expensive." I watched her face as she spoke. No tears. No performance. Just facts. "How much does he need?" I asked. She looked up sharply. "I'm not asking you for money, Randall." I raised my hands. "I know. I'm just asking." She set down her fork. 200,000 baht. Maybe more. It's why I work so much. The number hung in the air between us. About $6,000. A fortune here. Pocket change for what I'd spent on my last divorce lawyer. I didn't offer. Not then, but I filed it away, already planning how I could help, already seeing myself as the hero in her story. Over the next few weeks I saw her almost every day. Sometimes we'd meet for lunch, sometimes dinner. We'd walk along the beach or sit in coffee shops and watch the tourists stumble by. She told me she still had other clients. She didn't hide it. "I have to work, Randall," she said one afternoon. We were sitting on a bench near the pier, watching the sun dip into the ocean. "I'm not asking you to stop," I said. But inside, I was. Inside, I wanted to be the only one. She looked at me with those dark, knowing eyes. "Don't fall for me," she said. "I'm not good for you." I laughed it off. "I'm a grown man. I can handle myself." She shook her head. "No, you can't. I can see it. You want to save me, but I don't need saving." I didn't argue. But I also didn't believe her. I thought she was just scared. Scared of letting someone in. Scared of being vulnerable. I thought I could show her it was safe. I thought I could be different. I met some other expats during those weeks. There was Thomas, a guy from Ohio who'd been in Pattaya for 7 years. We'd grab breakfast sometimes at a place that served American food. Pancakes and bacon that tasted wrong but felt like home. One morning I mentioned Tass. Told him I was seeing someone. His face changed. Got serious. "Let me guess," he said. "Bar girl? Go-go dancer?" I shook my head. "She's a hostess. And she's different." He set down his coffee. "Randall, listen to me. They're all different. That's the game. That's how they get you." I felt defensive. Angry. "You don't know her," I said. He leaned back in his chair. "You're right. I don't. But I know this place. And I know guys like us. We come here thinking we'll find something real, something pure. But this whole city runs on fantasy. The minute you forget that, you're done." I stopped having breakfast with Thomas after that. Told myself he was just bitter. Cynical. Probably got burned and couldn't move on. But his words stayed with me. Crawled under my skin. I started watching Tass more carefully. Looking for signs. Proof that she was different. That what we had was real. And mostly, I found what I wanted to find. Her laugh. her hand in mine. The way she'd lean her head on my shoulder when we watched the sunset. It felt genuine. It felt like something was growing between us. One night, she showed up at my apartment crying. Her makeup was smeared, her hands were shaking. I pulled her inside and held her while she sobbed into my chest. "What happened?" I asked. She pulled away and wiped her face. "A customer," she said. "He called me disgusting, said I tricked him. He threw money at me and told me to get out." I felt a hot, sharp anger rise in my chest. "Where is he?" I said. She grabbed my arm. "Don't, Randall. It doesn't matter." But it did matter. It mattered to me. I sat her down on the couch and made her tea. She drank it slowly, staring at the wall. "I'm tired," she said. "I'm so tired of this." I sat next to her and took her hand. "Then stop," I said. "Let me help you." She looked at me like I'd just said the stupidest thing in the world. "You don't understand," she said. "This is my life. This is how I survive." I shook my head. "It doesn't have to be. I can help with rent. You can stop working the bars. You can figure out what you really want to do." She stared at me for a long time. "Why would you do that?" I didn't have a good answer. Because I cared about her? Because I wanted her to be mine? Because I was lonely and desperate and needed to feel like I mattered? "Because you deserve better," I said. It sounded noble. It sounded selfless. But it wasn't. It was selfish. I wanted her to need me. She didn't say yes right away. She said she'd think about it. The next few days felt like waiting for a verdict. I couldn't focus on anything. Couldn't read. Couldn't eat. I'd check my phone every 5 minutes hoping for a message from her. When it finally came, it was short. "Okay. But I need to think about how." We met at a mall. Sat in the food court drinking terrible coffee while she laid out her concerns. "If I stop working, people will ask questions," she said. "My friends, my family. They'll think something's wrong." I nodded. "Tell them you got a job." She laughed. "Doing what?" "I don't have a degree. I barely finished school." I thought about it. "What do you want to do?" "If you could do anything." She stirred her coffee, not looking at me. "I used to want to be a teacher. When I was little. But that's impossible now." Something in the way she said it broke my heart. This smart, articulate woman who could speak 2 languages fluently and navigate 2 different worlds, and she thought being a teacher was impossible. "It's not impossible," I said. "Maybe it takes time. But you could take classes, get certified. I could help." She looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw something close to hope in her eyes. "You really mean that?" I reached across the table and took her hand. "I really mean it." A week later, she agreed. I found her a small studio condo near Theppersit Road. Nothing fancy, but clean and safe. I paid the deposit and the first 3 months' rent. 45,000 baht. About $1,300. I tried not to think about it. Tried not to calculate how much I was spending. She moved in with 2 duffel bags and a stuffed rabbit she said her brother gave her. I helped her unpack. We ordered pizza and ate it on the floor because she didn't have furniture yet. She smiled at me, and for the first time, I thought maybe this could work. Maybe we could build something real. "Thank you," she said, "for believing in me." I wanted to say something profound, something meaningful. Instead, I just said, "You're worth it." For a while, it was good, better than good. She'd text me in the mornings, send me pictures of her breakfast, ask how I slept. We'd meet for lunch, and she'd tell me about the English class she signed up for at the community center. She talked about maybe working at a hotel or a tour company, something normal, something stable. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. I started imagining a future. Maybe I'd sponsor her for a visa. Maybe we'd travel together. Maybe I'd introduce her to my daughter back in Florida. I knew it was crazy. I knew it was too fast. But I didn't care. I hadn't felt this alive in years. I sent my daughter Sarah an email. Didn't tell her everything. Just said I'd met someone. That I was happy. She called me 2 days later. "Dad, are you serious?" Her voice had that edge of concern I'd heard too many times before. "I'm serious," I said. "She's different." There was a long pause. "Different how?" I tried to explain. The honesty. the vulnerability, the way Tass made me feel seen. Sarah listened, and when I finished, she sighed. Dad, I just don't want to see you get hurt again. I understood. She'd watched me go through 2 divorces. Watched me spiral after her mother left. I'm being careful, I said. But I wasn't. I was diving in head first. Then things started to shift. Small things at first. She'd be late to meet me. Or cancel last minute. She'd say she was tired or not feeling well. Her texts became shorter. Less frequent. When we were together, she'd check her phone constantly. I tried not to notice, tried not to ask, but the doubt crept in. One night, I showed up at her condo unannounced. I told myself I was just surprising her, bringing her dinner. But really, I wanted to see if she was alone. She opened the door in a robe, her hair wet. Randall, she said, you didn't tell me you were coming. I held up the bag of food. Surprise. She let me in, but she didn't smile. The place smelled like perfume. Expensive perfume. Not the kind she usually wore. I didn't say anything. We ate in silence. When I left, she kissed me on the cheek and told me she'd call me tomorrow. She didn't. I started noticing other things. New clothes, designer bags, a new phone. She said a friend gave them to her. I wanted to believe that too. I kept paying her rent. Kept sending her money when she said her brother needed medicine. Kept pretending everything was fine. But at night, lying alone in my apartment, I'd stare at the ceiling and feel the truth closing in. She wasn't mine. She never was. I was just another client. A nicer one maybe. A lonelier one. But still just a transaction. The money added up faster than I wanted to admit. Rent. Food. Her English classes. Medicine for her brother. A new laptop so she could study. Little emergencies that always seemed to come up right when I'd think we were stable. I wasn't stupid. I knew what it looked like from the outside. But I told myself it was different. I was investing in us, in our future. Every time I transferred money, I'd feel a little sick. But then she'd thank me. She'd kiss my cheek or hold my hand, and I'd convince myself it meant something. I ran into Thomas again at a 7-Eleven near Beach Road. I was buying beer. He was buying cigarettes. Randall, he said. Haven't seen you around. I nodded. Tried to keep it brief. Been busy. He looked at me for a long moment. How's your girl? I felt my jaw tighten. She's good. We're good. He lit a cigarette right there in the parking lot. You still giving her money? I wanted to lie. Wanted to tell him to mind his own business. Instead, I just said, I'm helping her out. He shook his head. How much? I didn't answer. He took a drag. Let me guess. 20,000? 30? More? I looked away. It's not like that. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. It's exactly like that, and it won't stop. It never does. I walked away from him, got in my car and drove home. But his words followed me. I started keeping track in a notebook, just to see, just to know. Rent, 12,000 baht a month. Food and expenses, another 8,000. Classes, 3,000. Her brother's medication, 5,000 here, 10,000 there. In 2 months, I'd spent over 100,000 baht, almost $3,000, and that wasn't counting the furniture I'd bought for her place. The deposits, the initial setup. I closed the notebook and shoved it in a drawer. Didn't want to look at it anymore. Didn't want to know. Then came the message. It was early morning. I was still in bed when my phone buzzed. A notification from Line. I picked it up, expecting a good morning text from her. Instead, I saw a message thread that wasn't meant for me. It was in Thai. I couldn't read most of it, but I recognized the numbers. 10,000 baht. A transfer confirmation. And a string of emojis. Hearts, kisses, fire. I sat up, my heart pounding. I opened the translation app and started copying the text. It took a few tries, but I got the gist. She was talking to someone, thanking him for being generous, saying she missed him, saying she'd see him tonight. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I read it again and again, hoping I'd misunderstood, hoping it was a joke, but it wasn't. My hands were shaking as I got dressed. I didn't shower, didn't eat. just threw on clothes and drove to her condo. The morning traffic was thick, and I kept hitting red lights. Each one felt like torture. I kept imagining her with someone else, laughing, touching, doing all the things she did with me. When I finally got there, I pounded on the door. She opened it, looking confused, still in her pajamas. "Randall, what's wrong?" I held up my phone. "This," I said. "What the hell is this?" She looked at the screen, and her face went blank. Not guilty, not ashamed, just blank. "You went through my phone?" she said. "It was sent to me by mistake," I said. My voice was shaking. "Don't change the subject. Who is he?" She sighed and stepped aside. "Come in." We sat on opposite ends of the couch. The same couch I'd helped her pick out, the one I'd paid for. She didn't cry, didn't apologize. Just looked at me with those dark, tired eyes. "You knew what I was," she said. "From the very first night I told you." I shook my head. "You said you'd stop. You said you wanted something different." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I never said that. You said that. You wanted me to be someone I'm not." I felt tears burning behind my eyes. "I gave you everything," I said. "I helped you. I believed in you." She nodded. "I know. And I appreciate it. But I never asked you to save me, Randall. You just decided to." The words hit me like a slap. Because she was right. I'd built this whole fantasy in my head. The broken girl who just needed love. The hero who could fix her. But she didn't want to be fixed. She didn't need me. She was surviving. The same way she always had. And I was just another man who thought he could change her. "Do you care about me at all?" I asked. My voice cracked. She looked away. "I don't know," she said. "I care that you're kind, that you've been good to me. But love? I don't think I know how to love anyone, Randall. Not the way you want me to." I stood up. My legs felt weak. "I can't do this," I said. She didn't stop me, didn't follow me. Just sat there, staring at the floor. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I wish I could be what you need." I turned at the door. "You told me the truth from the beginning. I just didn't want to hear it." She nodded. And that was it. I walked out, drove home, and for 3 days I didn't leave my apartment. I drank too much, stared at my phone. Part of me wanted her to call, to apologize, to beg me to come back. But she didn't. The silence was worse than anything she could have said. I kept replaying every conversation, every moment, looking for signs I'd missed. But the truth was, there were no signs to miss. She'd told me exactly who she was. I just chose not to listen. On the 4th day, I texted her, just 2 words. "Can we talk?" She responded an hour later. "Okay." We met at the same beach where we'd had our first real date. She was already there when I arrived, sitting on the sand, staring at the water. I sat down next to her, leaving a few feet of space between us. Neither of us spoke for a long time. The waves crashed. Seagulls cried overhead. Tourists walked past, laughing and taking photos. Finally, she broke the silence. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said. I nodded. "I know." She turned to look at me. "But I also didn't lie. I told you not to fall in love. I told you I wasn't good for you. You just didn't want to hear it." I wanted to argue, to defend myself, but I couldn't. Because she was right. I'd heard what I wanted to hear, seen what I wanted to see. "Do you love anyone?" I asked. She shook her head. "I don't think so. I don't know if I can." I looked at her, really looked at her, and I realized she wasn't the villain. She wasn't even the problem. I was. I'd come to Thailand looking for something to fill the void inside me, and I'd tried to use her to do it. "I'm sorry," I said. She frowned. "For what?" "For trying to make you something you're not." She smiled then. A sad, small smile. "You're a good man, Randall. You just want too much." We sat there until the sun started to set. The sky turned orange and pink. The heat began to fade. Then she stood up and brushed the sand off her legs. "Take care of yourself," she said. I nodded. "You too." She walked away, and this time, I didn't follow. I just watched her disappear into the evening crowd. And I knew it was over. I drove home and poured all the alcohol down the sink. deleted her number from my phone, threw away the notebook where I'd tracked all the money. I needed a clean break, a fresh start, but it wasn't over. Not really. A week later, she texted me from a different number, said she missed me, said she wanted to see me. I should have ignored it, should have blocked her, but I didn't. I told myself I just wanted closure. One more conversation. One more chance to understand. We met at a hotel near the beach. Neutral ground, somewhere we'd never been before. She looked beautiful. Hair down, light makeup, a simple dress. She hugged me when she saw me, and I felt my resolve crumble. "I've been thinking about you," she said as we sat in the hotel restaurant. "About us." I stirred my coffee, not trusting myself to speak. "I know I hurt you," she continued, "and I'm sorry. I don't know how to be what you need, but I want to try." Those words, the ones I'd been desperate to hear, and now that I heard them, they felt empty, hollow, but I wanted to believe. God, I wanted to believe. "What does that mean?" I asked. She reached across the table and took my hand. "It means no more others, just you. I'll focus on my classes, on building a life, a real life." I knew it was a lie, or at least I should have known. But loneliness is a powerful drug, and I was addicted. "Okay," I said. "One more chance." She smiled. A real smile. And for that weekend, it was like the beginning again. We spent 2 days together. She was sweet, attentive. She cooked for me in the hotel room using the electric kettle and ingredients from 7-Eleven. We watched movies on the laptop. She put her phone away, laughed at my jokes, held my hand. It almost felt real. Almost. On Sunday morning I woke up and she was gone. No note, no text, just silence. I checked the bathroom, the closet. She'd taken everything. Her bags, her clothes, even the little elephant keychain I'd bought her at the night market. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall. Then I saw it. A piece of paper on the nightstand folded in half. I picked it up and read the words. "Don't hate me. I never lied. You just hoped I'd change." I didn't cry, didn't scream. Just folded the note and put it in my wallet. I checked out of the hotel and drove home. The city looked different now. The lights were still bright. The music still loud. But it all felt hollow. Empty. Like a stage set. A beautiful illusion designed to part fools from their money. And I'd been the biggest fool of all. I calculated the total damage that night. All the money. All the expenses. Over $25,000. Gone. But that wasn't what hurt. What hurt was realizing she'd been right all along. I'd wanted to save her. But really, I'd wanted her to save me. And that was never going to happen. Months passed. I stayed in Pattaya. Didn't leave. Didn't date. Just existed. I'd walk the same streets. Eat at the same restaurants. Sometimes I'd see her. Across the street. In a bar. With someone new. Someone younger. Richer. Probably hearing the same lines. The same promises. She never waved. I never stared. We were ghosts now. And, in a strange way, that made it easier. I didn't hate her. Didn't blame her. She'd told me the truth from the beginning. I just hadn't wanted to listen. I started writing. Nothing serious. Just thoughts, reflections, trying to make sense of what happened, trying to understand why I'd let it happen. Thomas found me one day at a coffee shop, laptop open, typing away. "You writing a book?" he asked, pulling up a chair without being invited. I shrugged. "Just processing." He ordered a coffee and sat back. "Did you finally figure it out?" I looked at him. "Figure what out?" He smiled, but it was sad. That it wasn't about her. It was never about her. He was right. It wasn't about Tass. It was about me. About the hole inside me that 2 divorces had carved out. About the fear of dying alone. About wanting to matter to someone. Anyone. She'd just been there. In the right place at the right time. With the right words. If it hadn't been her, it would have been someone else. I closed my laptop. "Yeah," I said. "I figured it out." Thomas nodded. "Good. That's the first step." I asked him what the second step was. He took a sip of his coffee and looked out at the street. "Learning to be okay with being alone. I worked on that. Being alone. being okay with it. I started going to the gym, reading more. I joined an expat book club that met once a month, made a few friends, real friends, people who weren't trying to get anything from me. I stopped going to the bars, stopped looking for connection in all the wrong places, and slowly, the pain began to fade. Not disappear, just fade, like an old bruise that turns from purple to yellow to nothing. One night, I was sitting at the same bar where we'd first met, drinking the same beer, watching the same chaos. A young guy sat down next to me, tourist, American, probably mid-30s. He started talking, the way drunk people do, told me about the girl he'd just met, how beautiful she was, how smart, how different she was from the others. I listened and nodded. When he finished, he looked at me. "You ever fall for one of them?" he asked. I took a long sip of my beer. "Yeah," I said. "Once." He grinned. "What happened?" I thought about it. Thought about her smile, her laugh, her brutal honesty, the way she'd looked at me that first night and told me exactly what she was. "She told me not to," I said. He frowned, confused. "Not to what?" I looked at him. "Not to fall." He laughed like I'd told a joke. But I wasn't joking. I finished my beer and left him there. Walked out into the night. The neon lights still bleeding. The music still thumping. Girls still calling out to tourists. Nothing had changed, except me. I didn't feel lost anymore. I felt clear. She wasn't the mistake. I was. I'd come to Thailand to escape my pain. Instead, I'd found more. But I'd also found something else. The truth. About her. About me. About what I really wanted. And sometimes, that's all you can ask for. I still walk past her street sometimes. Still see her name pop up on social media. She's doing fine. Working. Surviving. Being exactly who she always was. And I'm okay with that. Because I finally understand. She didn't break me. I broke myself. I wanted her to be my salvation. My second chance. My proof that love could still exist. But she was never mine to save. And I was never hers to fix. We were just two lonely people who crossed paths in a city built on illusions. And for a little while, we believed in the same lie. The real lesson wasn't about her. It wasn't about Pattaya. It wasn't about Thai women or bar girls or any of the stereotypes that people throw around. The lesson was about me. About understanding that you can't fill a void with another person. That love isn't about rescue. That sometimes the most honest thing someone can do is tell you exactly who they are, and the cruelest thing you can do is not believe them. I think about my daughter sometimes, about calling her and telling her everything, but I don't. She has her own life, her own problems. She doesn't need to know that her father spent $25,000 chasing a fantasy in Thailand. She doesn't need to know that he ignored every warning sign because he was too afraid of being alone. Maybe one day I'll tell her. Maybe one day I'll have enough distance from it to make it into a story instead of a wound. But not yet. For now I just live. I wake up. I drink my coffee. I watch the sunrise over the ocean. I talk to the old lady who sells fruit at the corner. I feed the stray cats that gather near my building. I read books. I write. I exist. And most days, that's enough. Some days, I still think about her. Wonder where she is, who she's with, if she ever thinks about me. But those thoughts don't hurt anymore. They're just echoes. Memories of a person I used to be. The truth is, I'm grateful. Not for the pain, not for the money I lost, but for the clarity. She showed me something I'd been avoiding my whole life. That I'd been using other people to define my worth. My ex-wives, my daughter, and then her. Always looking outside myself for proof that I mattered. That I was valuable. That I deserved love. And when she couldn't give me that proof, when she refused to play the role I'd assigned her, everything collapsed. But in that collapse, I found something I'd been missing. Myself. I don't regret meeting her. I don't even regret falling for her. Because it taught me something essential. That love isn't about possession. It's not about rescue or salvation or being someone's hero. Love is about seeing someone clearly, exactly as they are, and accepting that. Not trying to change them. Not trying to mold them into what you need. Just accepting them. And if you can't accept them, then it's not love. It's something else, something darker, something selfish. She did love me, in her way. I believe that now. Not the way I wanted, not with the commitment or exclusivity or future I imagined, but she gave me what she could, her time, her honesty, her company. And when I wanted more, when I pushed for more, she could have lied, she could have strung me along forever, but she didn't. She told me the truth, even when it hurt, even when it meant losing my support. That took courage, more courage than I had. I see couples sometimes, older Western men with young Thai women, and I don't judge anymore. I don't know their stories. Don't know if it's real or transactional or somewhere in between. Maybe they're happy. Maybe they've found something I couldn't. Maybe they're better at accepting the terms, better at living in the moment without needing guarantees about tomorrow. Or maybe they're like I was, building castles on sand and pretending the tide won't come. Either way, it's not my business. What I know is this. I came to Thailand looking for peace, for warmth, for love, and I found all three, just not in the way I expected. The peace came from letting go. The warmth came from learning to be alone without being lonely. And the love came from finally understanding that the only person who can save you is yourself. Everything else is just borrowed time, beautiful, temporary, and ultimately not yours to keep. I still have the note she left. The one that said I just hoped she'd change. I keep it in my wallet, folded and refolded so many times the creases are starting to tear. Sometimes I take it out and read it. Not because I'm punishing myself, but because it reminds me of who I was, of what I learned, of the price I paid for that lesson. And every time I read it, I feel a little more grateful, a little more whole. That's the thing about heartbreak. It doesn't kill you. It just changes you. Strips away the illusions, burns off the fantasy. And what's left, if you're lucky, is something real, something solid. Not happiness maybe, not joy, but truth. And in a city built on lies, truth is the most valuable thing you can find, even if it costs you everything to get it.